Hey y'all, what's up? Happy 2020. Thank you for
Man,
yeah, right. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Peel. First one of
sorry, we've been
2022.
gone. We've been gone so long. It's not a lot going on.
No,
There's a little
well,
bit.
and
There,
that's what's
there's a
funny.
little. There's a lot of a little bit of stuff going on. Like if that
So
makes sense.
really nothing great from the Dynamo, but then you look at the rest of the league and there are teams are wheeling and dealing this offseason. Um, but a lot to talk about today. We have MLS Cup draft or MLS Cup, MLS Super Draft that was yesterday. We have possible rumors that were refuted, but we still don't know about RGV and the Dynamo. Um, we have UCL stuff to talk about. We have some other moves made around the league. We do have the new supporters alliance. Uh, I wrote it down too.
H Town Hustlers.
There you
The
go.
Yeah.
Hustle Town.
Um,
Hustle Town.
Hustle
Hustle
Town.
Town.
Hustle
Yeah,
Town.
Hustle Town. Duh.
We have
Sorry, that's
that.
how new it is.
Yeah. We got UCL starting, or not UCL, CCL starting.
I just like H Town Hustlers better now.
um, but we also do have Edson on the show tonight to talk about the RGV stuff. We also need some RGV news because we haven't gotten it in 2020 yet. Besides the show 2 nights ago, was it 2 nights ago?
It was on
2 nights
Wednesday.
ago.
Yes.
This week's been running together. It's been a busy week. Inventory starts for us at my job, and
Oh man, me too.
well, luckily I'm on vacation during inventory, so I lucked
Oh
out.
wow.
Oh, Josh is gonna hate you right
Perfect,
now.
good.
So
That's more that's more time for him to work on the peel.
That true. I do have family coming in tonight. Hopefully the storms stay away. Also, everybody that's listening to the show tonight, who's tuning in, please be safe tonight. It's supposed to get pretty nasty around 10:30 ish, something like that.
yeah.
So just stay
The
safe. It's
day
supposed to
I
be horrible in the
decide,
north side.
the day I decide to actually go out, and severe storms are gonna roll through the city. Thanks a lot.
That should be a sign.
Yeah, that's a sign. Just don't leave the house.
Uh, Josh, what's going on with you? We got a few more minutes before we really start hitting the.
And yeah, just a lot of living the dream right now at at the retail stores. No, I'm glad the holidays are over.
Right.
I'm actually still, as crappy as it is going on. There's not a lot as far as like, I mean, like I said, there's stuff going on with the team, but nothing like, oh my god, that's massive. It's just, it's another rebuild from way like,
Uh, I
but
am going to interrupt you real quick because we have another pet sighting on the Peel. Tails is your co-host tonight.
oh, he's hanging out back there. Yep. Nope, that's my cat. I got him orange for obvious reasons. He wasn't orange when I got him, but I actually just had him like spray painted. And we keep like, no.
Wow.
Hey, we do. Swishy did tune in tonight. He's on the YouTube channel. He said that it can't confirm in North Dallas and it's hitting hard up there. So Swishy, definitely stay
Yeah,
safe
stay
tonight.
safe, bro.
I know it's supposed to be a lot worse up in Dallas, Shreveport, the northeastern side of Texas. So y'all stay safe. But I guess we can just jump right in. If you want, Josh.
Oh,
You wanna
I'm
jump in?
sorry. I was gonna say no. I wasn't done before the cat.
Oh,
for you.
sorry.
No, I
Squirrel.
was just gonna say, man. With every little thing that's going on, I'm still excited for the season to start. I'm having my soccer withdrawals, which I always go through during off season because it's like, dang, they just seem longer and longer.
You know, with the I guess you could say lack of moves by the club when it comes to transfers in. I am excited to see what Tab can do with this team, whether they're in a rebuild, whether they're not, whether they're in that weird in between of a rebuild but not really. I'm curious to see what he's able to do to the club his first year in, what
Mhm.
moves they make on the academy side with Tab
Yeah,
and Paul
yeah,
Holliker. Um,
yeah.
and
Yeah, it's like
and
you said. With Tab Ramos, this group just looks like a young, like so far what we have, it's
Yeah.
young.
I'm curious to see what he's gonna do in Matt Jordan with the Albert Elise, with the Mara Manotas, with those type of players, and how that goes, how that plays throughout the rest of the season. Does Morrow stay? Is Morrow transferred into the summer? Does Elise transfer into the summer? Um, where all 2020 goes. I'm really excited. And this year I'm going to step back more as a fan and try to cover it as being non-biased. Um, Especially from the press boxes. I'm not buying tickets this year, but they're covering the team from there and being on that non-biased perspective. So, see how this goes.
You have fun in the press boxes because I'll buy me a few tickets. I know when I go to the games, I still get loud and stuff, and
There'll
I have
probably be a few games that I'll probably get tickets to, and I won't do the press box. But what actually irritates me this year, and it's not a Dynamo issue, it's an MLS issue, with the expansion, they're not playing the Union this year.
that sucks. Yeah, that does suck.
And now they are playing. Dallas is playing the Union, and I might try to see if I can get off for that, but it's in April, so I don't know. But I digress. Excuse me.
You're excused.
But we did have the MLS Cup draft, or why do I keep saying MLS Cup draft? Anyway, MLS Super Draft was yesterday, and Dynamo chose 2 players, as did every team, except for a few that traded out of the draft for the TAM and GAM money, which, before we get to the players, I think it's smart. In new MLS now, it is smart to trade for the money instead of the draft picks.
Oh, yeah. I like that we're just gonna skip over the Marcelo Palomino finally officially getting signed. Which
we were gonna get there. I was gonna do MLS draft, and we'll cover some moves after we talk about RGV, because that is a big deal, and it's
a little bit
inside stuff that we have on that.
Yeah.
We did end up signing a Oklahoma native, Garrett McLaughlin, chose a first round, 8th pick overall.
Here's an interesting thing about him. His family are co-owners of OKC Energy of the USL.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Well, here's 40 degrees of separation for you. The other draft pick, Luca. Why was I saying his name before?
Purpa.
Purpa.
Y'all were saying Purpa.
Was also on Oklahoma City U23s. So, fun little fact.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, see? I kind of know what I'm talking about. Not really.
I mean, you. It's pretty obvious that they'd want to leave Oklahoma for Texas,
I mean, who wouldn't?
Right? It just makes so much sense.
I mean, if you wanted to stay in Oklahoma, you would just go to FC Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's also the fact that he was just drafted by an MLS club, professional club. That could also play a factor into it as well. But we'll stick with that. They wanted to come to Texas.
He is a forward, 6 foot even, 175 pounds. Let's see. There was
from Southern Methodist University.
Yep, SMU. Started all 21 games, 16 team high 16 goals. He was second in the ACC, 7th in NCAA, including an SMU record five goals versus Cincinnati.
How many games did you say? 21.
21 games, 16 goals.
Actually, his 4-year career, he was in action for 76 games with 68 starts.
Yes.
Yeah. You said 21.
No, I was talking about just last year. Just last year,
okay.
Started 21 games. But yeah, I mean, let's see, shots on goal. I mean,
he's at 37 goals out of 76 games, 13 assists over 4 years. That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I mean, it's hard to also, and it's the only thing I hate about the way college soccer is it's kind of hard to translate these goals in these minutes into what it could be in MLS.
Yeah.
But the fact that he started all 21 games and did score 16 goals in 21 games, it is something to be a little excited about. I'm curious to see how because he's most likely going to go to RGV. I'm curious to see how how he fits in there. Edson, how do you think he fits in the system there?
Well, one of the things that we've been noticing and that we were talking about on Wednesday was that right now it seems like Coach Gerson Echeverry wants to take a dual striker approach with RGV. That's the way they finished playing the 2019 season. About, I guess you can say, the last 7-8 games. Coach Echeverry was trying out a two-striker formation, mostly because that's what the Houston Dynamo first team was doing as well at the end of the season. So, and you saw some good connection between Carlos Small and Michael Salazar. So I think that they're going to try to do more of the same this year. I mean, we already have Kyle Edwards from UTRGV, who's our striker. And then I think with bringing in McLaughlin, I think it's going to be a good partnership. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of seeing how long it's going to take for the chemistry between those two strikers to grow, and whether their play styles are compatible with each other.
Josh, what are you expecting out of him, whether it's from the Dynamo or getting minutes
I would like
on
to
RGV?
see this kid. I would like to see him, earn some. I mean, why? I mean, I get it. He's coming from a university, but why wouldn't he be impressive enough just to at least get a spot on the bench right away? Why does he have to go straight to RGV?
I think the only reason
this kid, he in his senior year, he was the team's leading goal scorer with 16 goals. He finished second in the AAC and seventh in NCAA. Yep. He's young, and I just see what Tab Ramos, like, how he's coached and he's gotten the best out of what he had with the U20s, man.
The only reason I suggest RGV, the only reason is because if he's good enough to start there, he's going to get minutes. Yeah. And here he would just be sitting on the bench because let's face it.
Yeah, you do got a lot of.
Dynamo are going to try to showcase Manotas and Elise if they have any thought of moving them in the summer. Yeah. Now, definitely McLaughlin would probably be up here for Open Cup games and stuff like that. But if you're high on this guy, I would think you'd want to get a minute right away, opposed to sitting on the bench.
Yeah. Yep.
So
you're right.
Not that I wouldn't enjoy seeing him up there, but I also want to see the guy get minutes.
Yeah, he definitely. Yeah. He's some of the.
Swooshy says at least he's got the mindset, confidence, a good starting point, and that was in reference to how the college game kind of doesn't translate well.
Yeah.
But no, the stats are good. If you just purely look at stats and don't try to compare them.
Stats are good, yeah.
I mean, I think it was a really good
overall. Was it one of the video that Dynamo posted? He scored this weird over the back. It wasn't, I don't want to call it a bicycle kick, but it was like a sloppy bicycle kick essentially. The way he scored the goal. It was nice.
That does take us to our next draft pick. With second round, 34th pick overall. The Dynamo selected Luka Pipra.
We don't know if we're gonna pronounce his name properly, so we're
probably not. How long did it give me to pronounce Kyoto's name?
Purpa.
Midfielder, 5'10", 165 pounds, out of Marquette University. He all Big East second team, 2017, 2019. Big East first team, 2018. Freshman of the year, 2016. So won some awards. Like I stated earlier, he was part of the OKC Energy U23 squad out of Wisconsin. So, yeah. Talk about extremes. Wisconsin. talk about the extremes. You go from the extreme cold to the extreme heat. So that should be fun for him.
Mm.
Let me bring up his stats. Career stats: 66 games, 18 goals,
21 assists.
That's good.
He earned all Big East second team in 2019 and 2017, as well as all Big East first team in 2018.
What would you like to see out of him going forward? I mean, our midfield, I don't want to say it doesn't have a question mark, but it does. It still has a question mark.
Well, I mean, it's kind of just like the point we went with the McLaughlin. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin.
Is it really pronounced like that?
Yeah, McLaughlin.
Okay. Yeah, we were just going down that, the totem pole, and I guess it would be another player that would head over to RGV. It's just I don't get a lot of hype for these picks. I want to, but it's just like, man, they're so rare to find a good player that actually develops in MLS.
Yeah.
Coming from the Super Draft. But then there are also players that, Victor Ariza had pointed out that last time, like the Lamar Nagels, and what was the other one he mentioned? The player from Atlanta. You remember which one I'm talking about?
And something told me to open up that article too, because I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I shared it on the Peels page.
Yeah. Anyways, but I just want to see it actually actually do something for us, coming out of the Super Draft. I want to see a player actually make somewhat of an impact on this team. Because they never are anymore. You have to have a really good general manager that knows what he's doing when he's picking these players.
Yeah,
and so that's what I want to see from Matt Jordan with his decision.
Yeah, considering, like you said, the track history of recent years of draft picks, you can't help but wonder, have some sort of okay, is he really going to pan out, or is it going to be more of the same of, they're going to be loaned out or cut after their first year? I mean, take a look. Last year's Super Draft pick, one of them, Brad Dunwell, he's now with OKC Energy. They did not renew his contract for next season, and now he's with OKC Energy.
It's funny because it's hard to try to find what years players were drafted for specific teams. Wikipedia just has a names list, and I'm looking through all the names, and I'm like, none of these guys have cut it except for the early Dynamo days. And that'd be Corey Ash, Will Bruin, Jeff Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, Mike Chabala, Warren Carval, who's still out there, Danny Cruz, which I totally forgot he was drafted.
Yeah.
By the Dynamo. Joe Holland, where's he at? Taylor Hunter, where's he at? Sam Junqua, he's
still with the Dynamo, but it's
yeah, exactly.
Sorry, and by the way, that player I was thinking of earlier was Greg Garza.
Yes.
It was gonna kill me.
You have Rob Lovejoy, who's actually retired now, and he was only drafted 6-7 years ago. He hadn't been around that long.
Mm-hmm.
He's retired. Michael Nelson, verdict's still out on him. He's on his way to possibly getting first team minutes with the Dynamo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Kofi Sarkodie.
Yes, Kofi Sarkodie was another big notable one, but that was before, we had Matt Jordan, right? When we drafted Kofi Sarkodie.
Zach Steinberger. He's another one that was a flop. You have Max Steve.
Michael Nelson, I mean,
yes.
Watching some of him last year, just in that U.S. Open Cup, he showed some spark too,
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing with Michael Nelson that I see, he's got good reactions, but I think his positioning still needs to be refined.
Okay, so let me
It
ask you
comes
this:
over
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
of
I mean,
course.
you have to play. Yeah, you have to play in that.
Is that a organizational issue? Because there were times where Tyler Derrick, as good as he was, would get beat on being out of position more often than not.
No, no, I think our goalkeepers pan out pretty well for the
Oh,
most
I'm
part.
not saying Tyler Derrick
Yeah.
was bad, but there had been times where you watch a game and you're
But
like,
that's
"What
also
the
with
hell are
it,
you doing?"
huh? Oh, I
There's
know. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that was a lot of that last year, you know.
yeah.
I think
Joe
that,
Willis is notorious for that too.
yeah. Well, um, I think last year was kind of rough, but I obviously, um,
I honestly think like by the time you get to the pro level, you should have like a general like if you know how to position yourself or you don't know how to position yourself. I mean, there's only so much coaching can do. I mean, you either know it or
Yeah.
you don't. Um, so I think that this is a what they're the characteristic of keeper that the organization is looking at.
kind of going back to the super draft a little bit. I want to know how much influence Tab Ramos had in this, you know, for a pick, you know, for these picks.
If I was a betting man, and if Matt Jordan is as smart as we hope that he is, Tab Ramos had every bit of an input in his draft picks because of his background.
I would hope so,
You know,
you know, because like I would really want like Tab Ramos because I mean it's Tab Ramos, and so he needs to have a huge say in a lot of these decisions, you know.
oh yeah,
Except when it gets to the financial part, then that's kind of, I guess, out of his range there.
yeah. Which I guess it is fitting that he's here because you got to think the players that he has the background with are not going to be these superstars that are asking 900,000 for salary. You know, it's going to be younger kids who probably aren't past their first MLS contract or academy kids or stuff like that. You know, they're all U17s, U20s, U23s. So it it kind of works out that he's here, especially with the Dynamo being the penny pinching club that they are. You know, so you guys got anything else about the draft? Close that book.
Honestly, not
Now,
really. I think it's more of the idea that you mentioned a while ago of who's is if any of these two picks so far are staying with the Houston Dynamo first team or they're heading down towards RGV. And I think for sure the ones that we get in the upcoming rounds of the Super Draft, they're gonna go to RGB for sure. Um, But I think out of these two, I think you're gonna see at least McLaughlin staying with the first team. Why? Because if they're gonna continue using the two striker formation, you're gonna need somebody on the bench. And who do you have as a striker right now on this roster? It's just Morrow and Christian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah.
now, hypothetically, because you know Marcelo Palomino kind of has come into the fold now, and then I've been hearing like rumors about player like what's his name, Ocampo, right? Is
Brian
that
Ocampo?
Edson? Brian Ocampo, who's also a striker, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Hold on, is it?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and just say he is right now. So there's the depth on it, and then what if Marcelo Palomino replaced Tomas Martinez in that that position there as our whatever you want to call that, number 10 or whatnot. Yeah. It's not, but it's not the 10 that we want.
Well, so
and then I'm saying Tomas Martinez being put into a striker position. I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know.
So Brian
So-
Ocampo is he's a winger. So he might be more of a potential Elise replacement rather than a Manotas replacement.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: does Palomino? You think he starts at RGV and then makes it to the
No,
Dynamo?
I think he's gonna.
Or do you think he starts first team?
He goes straight.
I
to
think
the
he goes
first team.
straight
team.
to the first team.
Yeah, I mean that whole ill will. That's not like they're not gonna sign him and then just send him straight back to RGV, because if I'm not mistaken, that was kind of the reason why he wasn't originally signed.
Yeah, you're not gonna make
yes.
that much of a fanfare if you're not gonna have him on the first team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to look. That's the only other move besides the other ones that we've already talked about this season. Of course, we had Darwin Quintero come here, trade for Marlon Hairston. Victor Cabrera from Montreal for Romel
Wow. How are we just gonna look over Darwin Quintero too? I keep forgetting that he's on this team now. Really?
Whose fault is that?
I mean, honestly, yeah. You know what, Edson? You are not wrong. Whose fault is
Dynamo
that?
for not doing.
Josh, it's not on you. It's more on the Dynamo.
No, I know. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Zarek Valentine, from Nashville, traded for Joe Willis. Which actually, if Joe Willis has a good season, we actually get incentives. Don't know how that works, but we do. So that's weird. Yeah, it's funny.
Here, we'll trade him to you. If he gets this many shutouts, then you pay us. But, okay. Nashville's just like, sure.
I do have a question about the two expansion teams, probably towards the very end of the show. Just because I want to pick your all's brain on it. But we've only brought in 4 players, 2 plus the draft, so that's 6. All right. We declined the options on Cabezas, Derek, Sorin, Figueroa, Kevin Garcia.
What?
Well, we declined the option on Cabeza and Derek, and then Sorin, Figueroa, and Garcia is out of contract. I know. I was purposely trying to breeze right over that so I didn't have to hear any Kevin Garcia love. But we're short on goalkeeper. We are stacked in midfield. We lost Eric Bird. Chris Duvall, who wasn't getting a ton of minutes anyway. So actually, the one out of this that hurts the most is got to be AJD to Miami.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I know that he was aging, and he was obviously not the same AJD, but man, I liked AJD. I thought I thought he was great. So.
He was better for the locker room presence.
Yeah.
At this point.
I mean, he's kind of like, I want to kind of tippy-toe around like the MLS legend, or not legend, but MLS Hall of Fame, if you want to put it like that. Like a future MLS Hall of Fame.
So, looking at right now at the current rosters or current players under contract right now for the Dynamo so far, you've got Michael Nelson on goal, only goalkeeper. Defenders, you've got Alejandro Fuenmayor, Adam Lundqvist, Kiki Struna, Maynor Figueroa, Jose Bizama, Eric McHugh, Sam Junqua, Victor Cabrera, and Zarek Valentin. Then midfielders, you've got Memo, Tomas Martinez, Tommy Mack, Nico Hansen, Matias Vera, Darwin Seren, Boniek Garcia. And then forwards, Mauro Manotas, Christian Ramirez, Albert Elise, Michael Salazar, Ronaldo Pena, and Darwin Quintero.
Why don't
Can
they
I
just
throw something out there?
Why don't they just give us the trophy already? I mean, God.
Can I just throw something out there?
Yeah.
Rodriguez enough in this season or this last season to deserve the starting spot over Tomas Martinez.
Memo?
Agree? Not agree?
Well, they were playing different.
There's a new coach, man. I mean, there's a new coach. I mean, who's to say that? Yeah. But there's also a new coach though now too. So I mean, pretty sure that players are gonna have to earn their spot back.
Is Tommy Mack the new Kevin Garcia?
Oh my gosh!
I honestly
shut your mouth right now.
Is he the one that you guys love that everybody else hates?
No, I don't like Tommy Mack at all. Do not take the name of Kevin Garcia in vain.
Oh my!
You guys make me sick.
Edson.
All right, so we beat around the bush. Let's get to the bigger topic that came out yesterday. There was an early report from Glenn Davis saying he had a source saying that this was going to be the last year of the RGV Dynamo partnership. Gets refuted today, saying they're happy with each other. It kind of just sounds like they're backtracking to cover both their asses. I know we all here on the PO have very strong opinions on it for both sides. I guess first we will give. I mean, do we want to save the best for last? Because we already know Edson has probably the best take on this all.
Yeah, Edson, you go last.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say.
I'll start it.
Okay.
I mean, look. Clearly, obviously, there's some turmoil there. I mean, it's not hitting anymore. It's kind of all over social media. I think that, but honestly, I think it'd be best if both parties did not, affiliate anymore. I think that'd be best for both teams because clearly RGV and their fans, which they have every right to be upset and mad that, players pulled up from their squad to the Dynamo and they're just released afterwards and it's wasted when they could have been playing for RGV the whole time. But it's sad to say that that's a team that could actually, with the right investment and stuff, that's a team that could actually want to take, what they have and actually do something better than what they're getting. They want to have more control over their team, which they have every right to. It's not the Dynamo 2, it's RGV, FC or RGV Toros. So that's just kind of my take. I think it would be best if both of them, and then the Dynamo can have, the Dynamo 2 or whatever MLS teams are going to keep calling these second teams, and use that as a farming ground, and probably not have it so far away from your city, have it in Houston. That's my 2 cents.
Before I get into mine, I need to start getting better at doing this at the beginning of the show. Please, please, please go ahead and give this video a like. Share us on. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Share us on all the social media platforms. We are trying to grow this bigger and bigger. We want to probably be the biggest we've ever been this season. But definitely go ahead and give us a like. Be sure to follow Edson's podcast too, Down the Valley, and check him out Wednesdays.
Yes.
On his YouTube channel as well, and the links for all that is below in our description. I'm gonna try to not make this a rant because I have a whole feeling about the way the USLs ran in MLS and how the reserve teams and all that stuff should be handled, and I think MLS does a disservice to that traditional structure. I do think 100% that RGV needs to be its own entity and does not need to be affiliated with the Dynamo. The Dynamo have essentially abused that. You have Charlie Ward, you have Chua Enrique. All these guys have come out and spoken about how bad the organization, the Dynamo, run the technical side of the Toros. And it's not, you're not providing growth to players, and you're also not providing growth for your own side. With that being said, I think it would be better for both sides if they went their own separate ways, get a few other investors for the Toros, and let them be a powerhouse down there in the South. When it comes to academy or reserve side, the Dynamo do need a reserve side. Like most teams in MLS, And if it's set up the way traditionally it's supposed to be, reserve sides play reserve sides, and you don't have this weird Seattle Sounders 2 or this weird NYCFC 2 or Red Bulls 2 or whatever. Now, like Josh had said, with a team being close, I think if anything, you partner up with Houston FC, which is in what's the second division now called, Edson, in USL? It used to be PDL.
League Two.
League Two. You do have a team here in Houston FC. I went to a game. It's kind of fun. But that is where you want to try to find your talent. These are kids that are going into college or in college, freshmen, sophomores, that are trying to still find their footing, and they're still a little rough around the edges, but they're here in Houston. So guess what? Those players trained with your first team or your academy players, and it helps you find other talent in the city too. You're here. You're right here in the city. I think that's the better option to go. I think the Dynamo have done a disservice to the Toros, and that's my take. Edson, you now have the floor.
All right. So first of all, I really think that it's about time that all of this goes out to the public, because it's one of those things that everybody, RGV fans, they kind of suspected things weren't being run correctly. And that maybe some players may have been disgruntled with the organization, and the fact that you first had Chuy Enriquez, or you first had Charlie Ward, and then Chuy Enriquez, who weren't just any players for the Toros. They were the fan favorites of the team in their respective times with the team. And both of them coming out public and calling out the organization. Charlie Ward saying that Wilmer and Jordan's actions were a complete disrespect towards him. Chuy Enriquez saying he was misled by Houston Dynamo in their future plans for him. I think it made such a big impact with the fact that people realize, hey, this isn't just one disgruntled player. This is at least two, and there could be many others that may not be vocal about it, but understand or feel the same way that Charlie and Chuy Enriquez did. And what irks me the most is that and I think this leak by Glenn Davis is true from what I've heard and what it seems like, but it seems like a complete lack of respect from the Dynamo towards the Toros, towards the fans, wanting a fairer treatment by the Houston Dynamo towards the Toros. And the reason I say this is because Wednesday, Ray, Jacob, and I, we were talking about, can this relationship be salvaged? I honestly think it's too toxic right now, but at least I want to see some sort of effort by the Dynamo organization to salvage something out of this relationship if this breakup is true. But it seems to be that they don't care. She's like, oh, okay, then I don't even want to deal with you. I don't even want, so now you're complaining. I don't even want to deal with this. You're out. I don't care about what y'all think. If y'all don't agree with the way we're running things, then good riddance. Like, really? Do we not as RGV fans deserve some sort of respect from the organization? I mean, we gave you the offer. We went up to you and we offered you some sort, to be able to control this team. And you're paying the fans, you're paying the organization of RGVFC back that way. It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right. And honestly, this completely proves that this relationship is too toxic to save in the long term. And yes, it's better in that aspect for the Toros and the Houston Dynamo to just split up. Now, the other question is, what's going to happen to the Toros if the split happens? Number one, the team should stay. The team is staying at RGV because the franchise rights are owned by Alonso Cantu. They are not owned by the Houston Dynamo. I just want to be clear about that right now because there was a lot of confusion in social media the last couple of days, saying, oh, is the RGV franchise going to be moved to Houston? No, it's staying with the RGV. But the question is, what is Alonso Cantu going to do? Is he going to find a partnership with another MLS team, maybe a Liga MX team, or go with a fully locally owned ownership group? That is still up in the air, barring some sort of first of all, the breakup needs to happen, right? But if it's going to happen, then Alonso Cantu has to have a plan to be ready for when that time comes. And
then also, the Dynamo will also have that plan as well, because they would have to have a team, already in the works for the USL League One. So.
Yes.
But and then it was also pulled away too. The tweet was also retracted as well. So it's kind of like maybe it is going to be earlier. Not going to be earlier, but maybe it's going to be later than what it was originally stated.
I just think, what I honestly think? I think it was just an effort to save face. This was a complete PR move, and you're not going to make me change my mind on that, no matter what anybody else says. This is a complete PR move, not only by the Houston Dynamo, but also by RGVFC CEO Rene Borrego, who on Carson's article stated that the relationship was all was well in the relationship. Who are you trying to kid? Come on. You're not kidding anybody. Do people really think that Glenn Davis is going to jeopardize his credibility and his reputation as a journalist to leak out something that is 100% false? I don't think so. There's substance to this
it's
leak.
Probably nobody's saying that it won't happen, but I believe Glenn Davis is probably just the time frame that they said, maybe this isn't the last year that, maybe it's next year, maybe next year might be the year. So maybe it was just pushed out a little too early, or his source, didn't get everything accurate on it. So.
Here's another thing that kind of makes me think about the timing about this leak. The past few days before, more importantly, Tuesday and Wednesday, you had the Charlie Ward video that Down in the Valley posted, completely viralized, not only within the Dynamo community, but also throughout the USL community. And people were talking about the RGVFC and Dynamo relationship, saying that Charlie Ward put Wilmer and Matt Jordan, on blast, and there was a lot of comments saying that RGV should become independent for their own sake, for their sake.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden you have this announcement by Glenn and his source telling him this. I think it's too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. I think if the whole Charlie Ward thing never happened or wasn't put out in the public, or Carson's article, if that wasn't put out in the public and Glenn Davis says this, I think it would have just gone, it could have been swept under the rug easily. But the fact that people were already, looking at that subject and kind of getting some ideas about independence, and then this that pretty much 90% confirms that at least it's in the works, it made such a bigger impact than if it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Edson.
I'm soaking it all in.
Tell me what you guys.
I had to chime in earlier because when I talk, it'll change the picture to me, so I don't have to stare at Justin's ugly butt the whole time while you're talking.
tell me if that's what you're thinking, or I need to go put a tinfoil hat on.
No, it's honestly because Josh, we've all seen it. We've seen the way these PR sides of anything, whether it's somebody's famous, a sports team, anything, they try to get out in front of it after the fact. And it just seems like that statement that was released, or not necessarily statement, but what Glenn Davis said, when the teams refuted it, it was classic PR move. And it's almost like the Dynamo were trying to get it out now and get ahead of it before training camp starts, before the games with the Toros start, because guess what? Those aren't those games in the Valley?
Yes.
Down there. I mean, you could be put in a situation where you're not going to be really welcomed by diehard Toros.
By the way, they aren't going to be.
Yeah, that
trust me, they are not going to be.
Yeah. And that could be a rivalry within one team,
and it shouldn't happen that way. And honestly, it shouldn't happen that way. But the Dynamo were looking for this. The Dynamo, it was the way that they've handled this partnership, whether they wanted to or not. They created this rivalry. They created this friction between Dynamo fans and RGVFC fans, and we've seen it time and time again throughout this partnership. 2 years ago, last year, many times being talked about independence through the RGV community. We've had some Dynamo people on Twitter that are Dynamo fans saying, you know what, screw RGVFC. Nobody really cares about them anyway, kind of mentality. So if that's the case, and the fact that most of the Dynamo fan base gives less than two what's about the Toros, then good riddance. I'd happily
so, and it's funny you mentioned that too, because there's a lot of soccer fans here, there's a lot of Dynamo fans here, but then there's a lot of people that don't know that the Dynamo are an actual team, right? Then there's a lot of people that don't care about soccer here in Houston because it's all about football and all about baseball now, and so it's kind of funny and ironic that you say that they don't care about the Toros, because me being a Dynamo fan, I hear that all the time. You like soccer? Why do you like soccer? Well, soccer is the best sport in the world, so it's kind of you can't really, the Dynamo fans can't really feel that way about RGV too,
But it could be fixed with something as little as, or at least, the hardcore fans, the ones that care about the in and outs of the Dynamo. Mm-hmm. It's something as easy as what baseball teams do. Show your highlights from the week before the game or at halftime from the Toros or from Brazos Valley.
Yeah.
And leave it at that.
Absolutely.
Show your scores up there. Hey, this is what our young kids down in RGV are doing. This is what our young kids at Brazos Valley are doing. You have 10 minutes at halftime. Show it.
Yeah.
Why not? Just throw the scores up there. It takes you 10 minutes. You already have a media team. Do it. It's not that hard. And it's not the fix-all, but at least it drives the conversation that, hey, maybe we should just read a forum about the Toros. Maybe we should listen to Edson's podcast. Maybe we should just care a little bit about these guys that might, and I put might in parentheses, help our team going forward. You need to know this pipeline. I mean, people do it for baseball. You got these idiots that, I don't want to say idiots. You got these people that are diehard baseball fans that are paying attention to single A baseball. They could tell you the starting lineup for a single A baseball team, but they couldn't tell you, who's in the starting lineup for Dynamo. So, it's kind of one of those things. If you want to make it a staple. Staple's the wrong word. If you want people to be that invested in your team, you need to do it on your end too.
Mm-hmm.
And something as easy as showing highlights or just showing the scores on the scoreboard at halftime starts that conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, the Dynamo barely even do enough marketing on their own team. What makes and that's the and here's the way some RGB fans are thinking, and I agree with this sentiment. If the Dynamo barely even have enough resources to fund the first team, what makes us think that they have enough resources to even care about appropriately funding the affiliate team or the D2 team and make it competitive?
True.
Can I say one thing too, as far as like affiliations go? Because there's also another team here in Houston that is also affiliated with an RGB team, and they actually do a fantastic job at it with the Rockets and the Vipers.
Okay, I thought you were asking. I was gonna raise my hand and say the Rockets.
Yeah. So yeah, no, they do a great job with it as far as they don't really show a lot of, I guess, like Vipers highlights or whatnot, but they talk a lot about the players too, especially if they're coming up, you know. And they actually use that as like a good affiliation, because, there's a couple players actually playing for the Rockets that were with RGB last year. So now it's kind of like the Dynamo should use that and look at it as well. Like, it instead of just pulling these players up and releasing stuff, they don't talk a lot about it.
You know what my biggest gripe about the way Matt Jordan handles the signings for RGV is, okay, so you have players under contract that may not have made it, right? The ones that never got very little minutes, okay, let the contracts go. But your best players, we're going to say Chuy Enriquez or who else? Maybe even Isidro Martinez, just to put a couple of names out there that were standouts for RGV. Eric Bird, okay? If you're not going to want them for next season or something, why not get a couple of bucks out of them? Why do you have to let them go for free when you can actually get some sort of money for them and help reinvest that money into the Toros? Or even with the Dynamo, it doesn't matter. But the fact that they let them go out for free and they end up getting signed by another USL team, like,
Does it hurt even more that it's San Antonio?
They are trolls.
I mean, that's like Mauro Manotas going to FC Dallas.
Yeah, I had that feeling when we lost like Adam Moffat because they traded him to Dallas. I was like, God, I hate this.
All right, so I was trying to figure a nice way to close that chapter, but I mean,
stay
it's out
tuned.
There.
Social media, there will be more. I promise.
So, Edson, now it's your turn. Plug down the valley and whatever big news you have besides the obvious.
Sure. So be sure to check us out at Down in the Valley. It's youtube.com/Down in the Valley. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Every Wednesday, once the season starts, every Wednesday we will be going live at 7 p.m. talking about the Toros. We've also got our website, ditvpodcast.com. We will be uploading articles not only for the Toros but also for the Houston Dynamo. We have a correspondent that would help us have some Dynamo content in there as well while the partnership is still intact. Hint, hint. But so far right now, we're waiting. We continue to wait on more signings. Recently, we just got word that Kyle Edwards of UTRGV, who has fantastic numbers, by the way, and a Brazilian winger named Tyberson Nunes were signed to the RGVFC Toros come the 2020 season. We only have 9 players on the roster, so we're still waiting for if any more signings are going to be done, or if we're going to be full of trialists.
Need 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
damn it.
Yeah,
they're missing like more than half the team.
yeah. Well, most of the players left. And
so, are they even gonna have a full squad?
And it's like, and of the 7 that they renewed, like 4 of them had very little minutes with the team. So we're pretty much starting from scratch.
But kind of going back to those super draft picks earlier, they're definitely going to play at RGVFC.
But with that being said, we'll cover the preseason schedule just real quick. January 18th, the Dynamo players will report for start of preseason. First day of preseason is the 20th. If you haven't checked it out already, there is an open practice January 25th. It's also the Dynamo Fan Fest. It's going to be down at BBVA. Then the Dynamo will move on and have a scrimmage with another team other than the Toros that they'll play down at Edinburgh at HEB Park, February 4th through the 8th.
It'll probably be UTRGV, but don't quote me on it.
UTRGV. Okay. And then the 2020 Visit Tucson Sun Cup, where the Dynamo play every year, February 13th to the 23rd. Josh, do you have the page who they're playing or no? Do you have it up? I accidentally closed it out.
Oh, no.
At Tucson?
Yes.
Yeah.
They haven't announced everybody. Okay, Kansas City is the only one announced.
February 15th.
February 15th. The 15th of February.
Okay, and the other...
the other 2 opponents, they'll be named in the coming weeks. It's going to be either Real Salt Lake FC Cincy, Columbus Crew, and or the New York Red Bulls.
Cincy?
God.
Cincy.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the Visit Tux or the Phoenix Rising website shows information about the Visit Tucson Sun Cup. And it says the teams are Phoenix Rising, Columbus Crew, New York Red Bulls, Houston Dynamo, Real Salt Lake, and Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, it's FC Cincinnati's on the Dynamo page.
Yeah.
Now I see it. Wow. I see FC Cincinnati, okay. But their logo wasn't put on the image.
Man, they're just not. Sorry, I'm still laughing at the fact that they couldn't even get replica jerseys out last year. And now they can't even get their own logo used properly.
I closed the one page out I needed.
Way to go, Justin.
I know.
I'm sorry, I'm disappointed in our chat tonight. There's nothing going on in the chat.
Except for Swishy.
Swishy stopped talking a long time ago.
They're all bracing for the severe storms coming in.
So, in case you guys weren't aware, El Batallon, Texian Army, the Surge, and what's the
Bandera Negra.
There you go. Have all started what's called the Hustletown Supporters Coalition. It is out there to help grow the supporters culture in Houston. With that being said, something I did want to throw out there really quick. Apparently, they're going to try to move away from being strictly Spanish and have chants, singing, all the good stuff. To create an amazing game day atmosphere. Don't quote me on that. They are going to be doing TIFOs. Membership is $35. You can choose to be a part of one of the current supporters group, or you could be a single supporter and start your own supporters group. They have that option on the website. I did check it out. Do you think this... Go ahead, Josh.
Real quick, sorry. Swishy says he is sorry for not commenting because he is in the middle of a tornado right now. So I hope you are okay, Swishy.
Yes, definitely. Please. I did know that they were calling for tornado warnings and watches up there. So Swishy, man, log off. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, be safe. Like, we appreciate
the podcast will be there, man. But unless that's the only thing that he can watch right now because maybe cable or satellite got knocked out.
Quite possibly. Thank you. In that case, thank you for choosing us.
But do you think that this helps going forward, or do you think it's just another front to... I don't know where I was going with that, but do you think it grows the supporters culture here?
Um,
It does come
honestly,
with a scarf.
I
That's kind of cool.
no, I don't think that they're gonna build the supporters. That you have to have the team, like the team overall, because you gotta get fans in the stadium. And in order to do that, obviously here in Houston, you have to win.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time that our fans will show up. I mean, it was even hard to get them to show up when they were winning. Um, you know, I, I think that that's going to be the ultimate way. And then if you get the fans in there with an actual winning team, then they'll see the supporters group, and the supporters group can grow that way. I think it's a lot better that they're like unifying it right now, to be one massive supporters group and everybody's getting along, and chanting the same chants. If they provide the right atmosphere, then yeah, I think they can. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how well, I guess, they work as a cohesive unit. I don't know where I was really going with that, but
Edson?
To me, it's one of the things that I am happy about this alliance is that for many years we, as outside fans of non-supporter group fans, we were calling for El Batallon and Texan Army to set aside their differences and work together as a unit. And I think the fact that they have decided to join forces one way or another, I think it shows that they're growing past whatever feud that they had before. They're setting it aside, and hey, you know what? At the end of the day, we're all Dynamo fans, and the team needs us, and we're gonna join together. Our similarities are going to bring us together instead of our differences, and I think that's what I get from this alliance, and the inclusion of the Surge and Bandera Negra. I think it serves as the ability for fans to pick what culture best does my characteristics, my personality more reflect better. Bandera Negra, El Batallón, Texan Army, or the Surge. And I think this is a good idea to try to grow the supporters groups, because, like I said, it used to be just EB and TA. So it kind of seemed like if I don't fit in with either club, then why should I be a supporters group?
Very, very well said.
Make it more fan friendly.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Justin, I think it's absolutely hilarious that your team has signed Jay Ajayi for the MLS league position for the Union. That is hilarious.
What happened with Dulsta then?
I don't know.
I think he went to
Nashville, but
yeah, I thought okay.
Yeah, he went to Nashville SC, but how did Nashville lure Dulsta out of Philly?
So I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't follow it because I think it's an absolute joke, but that's just me.
You know what, Justin? You're an absolute joke. No, just kidding.
You know what?
I know.
Justin, Justin, our two teams were, that's like the only championship.
No, you know what it is, Josh? I want these teams to focus on the teams or all of the players they're fielding on the pitch. Not what's being played on a console.
I highly doubt that this EMLS league has any, repercussions to your soccer team at all. Field, okay, this is a completely separate thing.
Because all of the training is done by themselves.
Priorities.
Yeah, Jim Curtin is out there. Hey, let's sign Jay Ajayi for that EMLS position. I know that we got it open now. Too. Don't you have a soccer team to focus
on? Real quick, were there any other moves within MLS that shocked you so far this offseason? Because there's a lot. I mean, if you go to the Reddit page that follows all the player movement in and out, it's ridiculous how much movement there was this offseason. I mean, there's a couple that stood out, at least to me.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, then tell yours.
Brooks Lennon from RSL. I mean, the guy had very high hopes at RSL. I think he was originally being looked at to go overseas, but he goes from RSL to Atlanta. Darlington Nagbe going to the Columbus Crew, which kind of made sense because he wasn't going to fit in Atlanta. Harris Baduhinen, not because he came from the Union, but the fact that the Union didn't hold on to him because he was picked up in the waiver draft. He was one of the best midfielders in the league last year. And the fact that the Union let him go and did not protect him, it's kind of shocking to me. Let's see.
That would be shocking to you.
The Houston Dynamo's best defender, Aaron Trusty, going to Colorado. Nothing, Edson.
No,
nothing.
Okay,
I don't even get a laugh from Edson.
Look, all right. So this wasn't a huge. This wasn't well. So this was big, but it wasn't necessarily MLS. It was the Houston Dash trading Khalil High. Sorry,
Yes.
I just wanted to plug that there. That was the big whoa man. Shocking thing for me as far as like a trade goes.
Well, they traded her for a defender, Katie Naughton.
Yeah, I just
but
saw that.
This is something that we could have a whole nother conversation on.
Yeah.
It's the fact that she's like the third biggest, or she's another star, probably the third biggest that Houston's had, that has demanded a trade from Houston. There's something underlying with the Dash and their front office and the Dynamo, and it's systemic because it explains a lot about other things going on outside of the Dynamo, i.e. the Toros. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any other ones. Fafa Peacock going to Dallas. He probably won't be getting starting minutes there. Your brother, Eric Alexander, Josh. I'm trying to think of any other ones that were just like, wow, moves. There is the rumor of Chicharito going to LA Galaxy. There's
He's
also
linked to a couple others too. I think Inter Miami's in there as well or something. I don't know.
Gareth Bale is being linked to Inter Miami.
Well, I think that one's been debunked.
Luka Modric linked to just even coming to MLS, which hasn't been debunked yet.
Yeah, just don't look, just take our names like completely out of the category that we would ever sign any of those players, like at all, ever. So just take us off the hat. So after that point as a Dynamo fan, well, fuck, this sucks. Sorry.
Honestly, if I was Matt Jordan, I would have walked right into Gabriel Brenner's office with a blank check with Chicharito's name on it and be like, I don't care what you do, we need to get him. But that's my opinion on him. Let's see, anything else? We do have CCL starting up.
Or you can just come in with a booklet of all these trades and transfers going on in the league right now, and just throw it on his desk and say, "Fuck it, I quit." Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But we are getting past our time here. Anything else that stands out from the league so far this year, movement wise? I think the official window opens for MLS. Is it this week or next week? The official preseason window. They were talking about it on an extra time, and I can't remember the date. But we do also have the CCL starting. A few MLS teams in there. Two that I say this every year, but two teams that I think are actually one of the strongest in the competition. You have Portmore United and Cruz Azul coming up on February 18th. Motuga versus Atlanta United. I think Motagua. Thank you, Edson. I do think Atlanta United easily walks through their first round. And then you have Leon and LAFC. Same thing. I think LAFC easily walks through that round. Wednesday, February 19th, you have Allianz taking on Tigres. I think Tigres takes that. Saprissa, Montreal. I don't think Montreal has a chance in this competition this year. Comunications versus America. Is that even a question? And then Thursday, February 20th, you have San Carlos versus NYCFC and Olympia and Seattle Sounders.
I think the Olympia one might be a little bit closer.
Olympia
with Sounders.
Yeah, I do think that one's going to be close. Josh, any that stand out to you that are going to be blowouts or not even close, or what do you think?
Sorry, I was reading our chat.
Oh,
Sorry about your washer there, George. No, I have to pull up the CCL matches, but anything that involves Tigris.
Oh, Swishy, no, we definitely want to get the Surge on the show. We did bring up the Surge in the Supporters Alliance, so Swishy said, to be fair, RSL to Atlanta is halfway to Europe anyway. In regards to Brooks Lennon, sorry for the late check-in. It was Jorge. Wish it was Mechanic. Yeah, I think Tigres easily walks through the first round.
See, you say that, and this
typical Tigres fashion, they're going to lose the Allianz or Allianz.
No, and
you officially jinxed them too, Justin. Congrats.
Because
I know
Alianza last season in the CONCACAF Champions League put up a huge fight to Monterrey, also in the first round.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction for this Champions League this year. An MLS team will not win.
That's because that's real bold. No, yes, I actually
that's very bold.
I've said this. We've done the podcast now 3 years, and I've said this every year we've talked. But I can't see this being a year where MLS doesn't make it. You have Atlanta and LAFC. Atlanta, I don't think is as strong as LAFC, but LAFC is built for a tournament like this. I can't see them not getting at least to the final.
I see another bold prediction. LAFC get knocked out in the first round.
Ooh.
I don't know. I think Bob Bradley wants to quiet a lot of doubters.
I'm just kidding. Because of what happened. I'm completely. That is sarcasm. No, I think LAFC will. I can see an LAFC or Atlanta making it to the final. The only way that I see an MLS team winning the Champions League final is if they're playing against another MLS team.
MLS needs either Tigres or America to get knocked out early in this tournament. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if Atlanta plays Tigres, or if Atlanta plays Tigres, Tigres is gonna.
I will say this though, America right now isn't looking good. Most of their best players are leaving, and there's still no word on replacements being brought in.
Is the other Dos Santos, is he still
Giovanni,
there?
Yes. But their best player, Guido Rodriguez, is leaving.
Looks like he's going to start. Yeah. I did have a question for you real quick. What do you make of what was his name? The leading goal scorer from Liga MX last year. Came to MLS.
For SKC?
Pulido.
Yeah.
God, I hate him.
What do you make of because there's another high profile player that was young that came to MLS, and you also have the former Rayados coach. Excuse me, gosh. What do you make of this? I don't want to say trend because I don't really say it's a trend, but players are coming out and saying they'd rather play in MLS over Liga MX. Do you think this is something that's going to grow bigger over the coming years, or do you think it's?
I think so because at the end of the day, most of these players they want the commodity, and the lifestyle in the United States is so much better than the lifestyle in many places in Mexico. That, and the idea of being paid in dollars and living in LA and being close, to all of that, like especially or unlike Pulido, who he got chosen by SKC, but at the end of the day,
hey, they got great barbecue.
But at the end of the day, the fact that they're probably going to be paying him more than what he was paid in Chivas Guadalajara, and I think that a lot of these players are, and not necessarily just Mexicans in Liga MX, but you've had Lucas Celarrayan going from Tigres, which is pretty much the highest or one of the highest standards in Mexico in the Liga MX, leaving Tigres because he didn't get a lot of minutes, going to Columbus Crew. I thought that was a shocker.
So what she said, bold prediction: Tommy Mack is transferred. Dude is a baller.
So how many goals does how do you say his name? Yes, how many does he score against the Dynamo this year?
Against the Dynamo.
Yes.
I think 1, and it's going to be
3
at SKC.
Dang, Justin, you giving the man a hat trick?
No, not in one game. You're gonna play him twice.
Oh yeah.
And I hate to,
yeah.
I honestly, like, I'm very biased against Pulido.
Oh, that's right. We opened their season there, right?
Yes, because we opened the season against LA, so I think it's early in the season. But we are at the end of our show. You guys got anything else?
I think we're good.
No?
No, I'm just ready for some soccer, damn it.
We are 50 days out from opening day.
Oh God.
In MLS.
You make it sound so far away.
It's not. I'll be here before you know it. It was the same thing last year, man. Before we know it, the season's going to be here. It's going to be kickoff. It's going to be... Look, MLS has gotten better over the last 10 years, and every year it's gotten better and better.
Swishy says that it's better to live here because we got Taco Bell.
Real quickly, there's talks of the DP rules being changed again.
Oh yeah, that's right. For the yeah, right. It's for like a younger DP, correct?
I don't know what the details are yet. I haven't taken a full look at it, but I think that's something that we can that can be discussed on social media.
Yes. Also, real quick,
why is this still a thing in our league? God.
It is what it is. But before we close out, I do understand it from a business side point or a business aspect. Look how many leagues have failed in this country, soccer-wise. MLS is trying to micromanage those finances so we don't end up without a league in the next couple of years.
I think that they have a good foundation now. I think they have a great foundation.
And I honestly think right now at this
leaps and bounds ahead of failing.
I don't know, man. I actually feel like that MLS right now is too big.
Well, team-wise, yes. I don't think it should be as many teams.
And I think and I think because of that, they still want to keep these archaic rules, and I think these archaic rules are holding back the top teams to be able to compete outside of MLS.
What I think needs to happen is MLS needs to swallow its pride and change its structure and go to a promotion relegation league. Completely honest. Then I don't have a problem with saying, there's these many teams in the league as long as 3 get relegated, or 3 get promoted from the second division.
But then we wouldn't have professional soccer in the South. It'd all be up north.
No, you just wouldn't have professional soccer in Houston.
Shut
up. But that is going to do it for us, guys. I appreciate it. It's been an amazing show. A lot of good talking points. Don't forget to give us a like, share this video, subscribe to our channel. Definitely be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at the Peel 05. Definitely check out Edson's show Down the Valley every Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Covers everything you need to know about the Toros and be a well-rounded Dynamo fan, as long as that partnership is around. But definitely, we probably won't do a show on Monday. I know Josh is busy, and it's kind of that weird lull before preseason starts anyway. So we'll probably do a show the following Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I'm busy. It's that I'll be working overnight. Both, yeah.
Oh, so you're not busy working overnight?
No, I just wanted to point out that I'm working overnight that night.
Before the season starts, I do want to get the wheels in motion on getting some guests on, whether that's via phone call or in person or live somewhere. I know I was talking to my wife. We're working on trying to get some merch that we can give out, whether it's koozie form or stickers, whatever. Something to get our name out there too. But again, thank you. I'm Justin.
I'm Josh.
And I'm out of here. No, I'm Edson.
But thanks again. We got 50 more days to open the season, guys. Justin for the Peel. We're out.
Peace out.
Peace out.